Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, reveal the books I bought this week, and, if I screw up, a blooper reel. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that logo! Alright, welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you from Southern Realms Comics and Games here in Ruston, Louisiana. And it's the last week of September. And fall just started, but it's still the same. We still have that weather where I just can't help but see Wade in the water. I just can't wait for it to cool off. That's pretty much what I'm saying. But when I pulled up here, I happened to see someone that I wasn't expecting to see, but I was very glad to see, considering he had a health scare a few days ago, and that's my good friend Larry Lambert. But Larry, I wasn't. I mean, I along with everyone else was praying for you, and glad to see you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, next week, and I need to tell you, next week will be the 4th anniversary episode of the show. I'm really looking forward to it. I just thank God for all the years, for all the years that I've been doing it, all the episodes that I've done, all the friendships that have been forged through doing this show. I mean, I just can't thank him enough. And anyway, it's time to get away a free t-shirt. All right, last week's episode, I asked true or false. Stan Lee taught a judo class for the U.S. Army during World War II. Now, first off, I want to apologize for the way that I worded that question, because I think I said, if I'm not mistaken, I said true or false, Stan Lee taught a judo class while in the U.S. Army during World War II. Well, a lot of folks said false, because he didn't exactly serve in the U.S. Army. He was just there to teach that class and to write for them. And he was doing that for 3 years, from 1942 to 1945. So, if you answer true or false, you are correct, and that is my mistake. I need to be very careful about how I word my questions on this show. But anyway, 7 people have answered, and because they've answered, their names have been entered in a drawing, and that drawing takes place right now. So, the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is D'Angelo Blue from Warren, Ohio. So congratulations, D'Angelo, you win yourself a free comic tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode, and I'm going to word this correctly. Although he's king of Atlantis, what fictitious Massachusetts town is Aquaman from? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee in next week's episode. And speaking of D'Angelo Ballou, here's requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this features 2 guys who cannot be stopped. Well, that is, unless they're going up against the superheroes that beat them. Representing DC, we have Bane! And representing Marvel, we have Rhino! These 2 are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Bane versus Rhino. Bane, or should I say, Bane, possesses enhanced strength and durability via Venom Serum, accelerated healing factor, genius-level intellect, and is a master martial artist. Rhino possesses superhuman strength, speed, stamina, and durability. His Rhino armor grants him high-level resistance to damage in extreme temperatures, razor-sharp horns, and the ability to enhance his superhuman physical attributes. Who would win?
A majority of this fight will be back and forth, since both of them have virtually the same abilities. Bane would then resort to his martial arts skills. Every punch and kick he lands on Rhino is ineffective. Then he notices Rhino's weak spot. At the same time, Rhino notices the pack of venom that Bane carries around. Bane catches Rhino noticing and, for some reason, allows Rhino to rip it off and the tubing along with it. Bane goes limp. Just as Rhino is about to gut Bane like a fish with his horn, Bane immediately gets back to a vertical base and moves out of the way. You see, Bane was merely using the pack of venom as a prop. He no longer needs it. Rhino temporarily gets stuck in a brick wall, but breaks free. As soon as he does, the last thing he sees is Bane delivering a punch so quick and violent that Rhino's skull is completely shattered. Bane wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed that fight, and if you have fight requests for future episodes, contact info is down there. Alright then, now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, I'm only going to talk about one thing in this in this edition of Comically Speaking, and that's Inhumans. It premieres on ABC, and I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I've always, I didn't know who the Inhumans were until I watched an episode of the Fantastic Four animated series. It was season 2, where when they were going up against the Fantastic Four, and I thought, wow, these guys are amazing. And I started learning more about them. I mean, some of the characters are Black Bolt, Medusa, Gorgon, Crystal, and one of my favorite characters, the Inhuman dog, Lockjaw. Now, Lockjaw, he's this dog that can teleport you anywhere he pleases, and I'm just so looking forward to it. I mean, ABC has done well with Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is still going to be part of the ABC primetime lineup. And then also ABC Studios has also done other shows like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Daredevil, and the Defenders. And I can't wait to see how this show is going to do. I know they're going to do well, although I still kind of have my suspicions about Iron Fist. I'm not all too crazy about that. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now then, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, I'm only going to give a brief description of these books. I'm not going to reveal what they are. All right, first up is The Mighty Captain Marvel number 9. Detective Comics number 965. The Flash number 31. Wonder Woman number 31. Action Comics number 988. Oh, by the way, I need to go ahead and say something about Action Comics number 988. Now, this is part 2 of the Oz Effect. Now, ever since DC Rebirth got started last year, there's been this character that calls himself Mr. Oz, who has pretty much been keeping a very creepingly eye on both Superman and Batman, namely Superman. At the very end of it, we find out who at the end of part 1, which is number 987, we find out the identity of Mr. Oz, and it's none other than Superman's dear old dad, Jor-El. And in this issue, we find out how he became Mr. Oz. All right, next up is Marvel Legacy number 1. Now, oh my goodness, y'all have no idea how excited I am to read this. They're going to be in this in this book, there's going to be a lot of Marvel characters that have been thought to have been dead who are coming back. And I'm so excited to read this. All right. Next up is Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 31. And finally, The Mighty Thor number 23. All right. Now that's 8 I bought, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 8,207. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Here's a question again for our free tea for next week's episode of the show. Although he's the king of Atlantis, which fictitious town in Massachusetts is Aquaman from? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tea in next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to D'Angelo Ballou from Warren, Ohio, who won a free tea in this week's episode. All right, it's birthday time here on the Comic Hero Show, and happy birthday this past Monday to one of my friends from high school, Guy Walker. One of my friends that I was in the Sound Today with at ULM, Horace Trey Wilson. And happy birthday to another guy that I was in the Sound Today with, Jacoby King. And happy birthday yesterday to one of my friends who I was also in band with at ULM in the Sound Today, Laura Riley and Megan Bass. All right, happy birthday tomorrow to one of my friends from junior high and high school, Chris Randall. And happy birthday to Monroe's very own Clint Downing. And happy birthday to one of my friends that I went to college with at ULM, Kayla Arduin. And then happy birthday this Saturday to one of my friends from high school, DeAndre Moore. All right, had a lot of fun in this episode. Can't wait for next week's episode. It's going to be the 4th anniversary episode of the Comic Hero Show. If I said it once, I'll say it again. I'm very blessed and very privileged to bring y'all this show every week. And I'm quite sure that next week's episode 184, will be even more spectacular than this one. Had a lot of laughs on camera, had a lot of laughs off camera, but that's the beauty of it. I mean, and then most importantly, I bring you comics news, my love of comics every week, and that's pretty much it. And also, and this is well overdue, but I also want to pray for everyone who is the victim of all the hurricanes that happened over the past month, whether it be Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, and also the earthquake that hit Mexico. My thoughts and prayers are with y'all. And if there's anything I can do to help, I will help. And not only will I help, Emperor Palpatine will help too. All right, I'm Victor Dudley. I'm the Comic Hero. He's Emperor Palpatine. We'll see you next week for episode 184, the 4th anniversary episode. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.
This is part 3, and the story's just.
There you go. No, you're good.
And the new artist, yeah.
Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, reveal the books I bought this week, give you comics news, and if I screw up, Peter Brady. Boomereel!
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Telltale.
No. Today I'm going to bring you a... That's 2!
Yeah. Top, front, bottom.
All right, last week's episode, I asked true or false. Stan Lee taught a... Stam. It's Stan! Boomereel. All right, I hope you enjoyed the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight. If you have fight requests for future episodes, contact info is down there. All right, it's time for Comically Speaking. So without further ado, let's. Blooper reel.
I actually never really watched it.
Season 1 and 2 are pretty good. All right, I have 8. Okay. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And here's a question again for a free tea for next week's episode of the show. Although he's the king of Atlantis, what fictitious... There's another one!